So apparently after I did my last video, somebody made a statement saying that they can hear me read a dictionary and be completely happy with it because they liked my voice. Now, this of course was silly to me, and I figured that I would test the theory. Unfortunately, I could not find a dictionary online that was laid out in a way that I can read it. God, I wish there was, because it'd probably be more amusing than what I'm about to do. As a, hopefully a adequate substitute, I decided to read from the George Orwell classic 1984, which was published in 1949. Now, you're going to have to excuse my third grade reading level, and you're also going to excuse my nasally voice, for I have a cold, and I am currently battling it off with a large dose of Robitussin, which would probably be the liquid courage that behind this whole endeavor in the first place, forcing me to read from a very non-exciting book, but one of my favorites nonetheless. I will probably screw up many times, and you will laugh at me, and you will make fun of me, and I don't care. Because, you know what, this is for fun, and I figured about 8 minutes of me reading the book would be more than enough to keep you guys happy for a while. So here we go. 1984 by George Orwell, published in 1949. Chapter 1. It was a bright, cold day in April, and the clocks were striking 13. Winston Smith, his chin nuzzled into his breast in an effort to escape the vile wind, slipped quickly through the glass doors of Victory Mansions, though not quickly enough to prevent a swirl of gritty dust from entering along with him. The hallway smelt of boiled cabbage and old rag mats. At one end of it, a colored poster, too large for indoor display, had been tacked to the wall. It depicted simply an enormous face, more than a meter wide, the face of a man of about 45, with a heavy black mustache and ruggedly handsome features. Winston made for the stairs. It was no use trying to lift. Even at the best of times, it was seldom working, and at present the electric current was cut off during the daylight hours. It was part of the economy drive in preparation for Hate Week. The flat was 7 flights up, and Winston, who was 39 and had a ferocious ulcer above his right ankle, went slowly, resting several times on the way. On each landing, opposite the lift shaft, the poster with the enormous face gazed from the wall. It was one of those pictures which are so contrived that the eyes follow you about when you move. Big Brother is watching you, the caption beneath it ran. Scrolling. Inside the flat of a fruity voice was reading out a list of figures which had seldom to do with the production of pig iron. The voice came from an oblong metal plaque, like a dulled mirror, which formed part of the surface of the right-hand wall. Winston turned a switch, and the voice sank somewhat, though the words were still distinguishable. The instrument, the telescreen it was called, could be dimmed, but there was no way of shutting it off completely. He moved over to the window, a smallish, frail figure, the meagerness of his body merely emphasized by the blue overalls which were in the uniform of his party. His hair was very fair, his face naturally sanguine, his skin roughened by the coarse soap of blunt razor blades and cold water of winter that had been just ended. Outside, even though the shut window pane, the world looked cold. Down in the street, little eddies of wind were whirling dust and torn paper in spirals, and through the sun was shining, and the sky of a harsh blue, there seemed to be no color in anything, except the posters that were plastered everywhere. The black mustachioed face gazed down in every commanding corner. There is one on the house front immediately opposite. Big Brother is watching you, the caption said, while the dark eyes looked deep into Winston's own. Down at street level, another poster, torn at one corner, flapped fistfully in the wind, alternately covering the single word in Ingsoc. In the far distance, a helicopter skimmed down between the roofs, hovered for an instant like a blue bottle, and darted away again with a curved flight. It was the police patrol, snooping into people's windows. The patrols did not matter, however, only the thought police mattered. Scrolling. I know this is boring, I apologize, people. Behind Winston's back, the voice from the telescreen was still bubbling away about pig iron and the overfulfillment of the ninth three-year plan. The telescreen received and transmitted simultaneously. Any sound that Winston made above the level of a very low whisper would be picked up by it. Moreover, so long as he remained within the field of vision, which the metal plaque commanded, he could be seen as well as heard. There was, of course, no way of knowing whether you were being watched at any given moment. How often or on what system the thought police plugged in on an individual wire everybody all the time. But at any rate, they could plug into your wire whenever they wanted to. You had to live, far habit that became instinct, and the assumption that every sound you made was overheard, and except in darkness, every moment scrutinized. I do apologize again, I'm not the best reader. so you're going to have to excuse my incredible screwing up here, and of course I'm sure you're loving it. But anyway, continuing. Winston kept his back turned to the telescreen. It was safer, though, as he well knew, even the back can be revealing. A kilometer away, the Ministry of Truth, his place of work, towered vast and white above the grimy landscape. This, he thought, was a sort of vague distaste. This was London, chief city for Airstrip 1, itself the third most population of provinces of Oceania. He tried to squeeze out some childhood memory that should tell him whether London had always been quite like this. Whether there always were vistas of rotting 19th century houses, their sides shored up with bulks of timber, their windows patched with cardboard, and their roofs with corrugated iron, their crazy garden walls sagging in all directions, and the bomb sites where the plastered dust swirled in the air, and the willow herb straddled over the heaps of rubble, and the places where the bomb had cleared a larger patch, and there had sprung up sordid colonies of wooden dwellings like chicken houses. But it was no use. He could not remember. Nothing remained of his childhood except a series of bright-lit tablets occurring against no background and mostly unintelligible. The Ministry of Truth, Minithru in Newspeak, was startlingly different from any other object in sight. It was an enormous pyramidal structure in glittering white concrete, soaring up terrace over terrace 300 meters into the air. But where Winston stood was just possible to read, picked out from its own white face of elegant lettering, the three slogans of the party. War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. The Ministry of Truth contained, it was said, 3,000 rooms above ground level, and corresponding ramifications below. Shattered about London, there was just 3 other buildings of similar appearance and size. So complete did they dwarf the surrounding architecture that from the roof of Victory Mansions you can see all 4 of them simultaneously. They were the homes of the 4 ministries between which the entire apparatus of government was divided. The Ministry of Truth, which concerned itself with the news, entertainment, education, and fine arts. The Ministry of Peace, which concerned itself with war. The Ministry of Love, which maintained law and order. And the Ministry of Plenty, which was responsible for economic affairs. Their names in Newspeak: Minithru, Minipax, Minilove, and Miniplenty. The Ministry of Love was really a frightening one. There were no windows on it at all. Winston had never been inside the Ministry of Love, nor within half a kilometer of it. It was a place of impossible to enter except in official business, and there only by penetrating through a maze of barbed wire entanglements, steel doors, and hidden machine gun nests. Even the streets leading up to its outer barriers were roamed by gorilla-faced guards in black uniforms, armed and jointed truncheons. Winston turned around abruptly. He had set his features into the expression of quiet optimism which was advisable to when facing the telescreen. He crossed the room into the tiny kitchen. By leaving the ministry at this time of day, he had sacrificed his lunch in the canteen, and was aware that there was no food in the kitchen except a hunk of dark-colored bread, which had got to be saved for tomorrow's breakfast. He took down from that shelf a bottle of colorless liquid with a plain white label marked Victory Gin. It gave off a sickly, oily smell, as of a Chinese rice spirit. Winston poured out nearly a teacupful, nerved himself for a shock, and gulped it down like a dose of medicine. Instantly his face turned scarlet, and the water ran out of his eyes. The stuff was like nitric acid, and moreover, in swallowing it, one had the sensation of being hit in the back of the head with a rubber club. The next moment, however, the burning in his belly died down, and the world began to look more cheerful. He took a cigarette from the crumpled packet marked Victory Cigarettes, and incautiously held it upright, whereupon the tobacco fell out into the floor. With the next he was more successful. He went back to the living room and sat down at a small table and stood to the left of the telescreen. From a small table drawer, he took out a pen holder, a bottle of ink, and a thick quarter-size blank book with a red back and a marble cover. Almost done. Actually, you know what? I'm going to stop here. I have only a few seconds left, and I figured I would not waste it by ending it in the middle of a paragraph. But, yeah, proving a point. So, hope you guys liked it. Bye.